So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I'm joined by Jon with, let me see if I can pronounce your last name correct, Weisnewski, and
Yeah, that's good.
And he's the member of a band called Nuclear Dudes, which is like it's like a one-man group. He has other two bands, but it's very interesting music. I was reading how you would describe it, but I'll let you describe the band. So, Jon, thank you for taking time to talk with me about your new album, which is called Boss Blades. So, how are you today, Jon?
I'm great.
Good.
Feeling fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me too. Really appreciate it.
No, of course. So let's talk for people that don't know the band, because obviously this is a newerish band. I was reading you formed in the lockdown. Obviously, you have other two bands, and you're also a video game programmer.
Yep. Yeah, designer technically, but yes.
Which, hey, I love video games. Since I have kids, I haven't been able to play them like in 5 or 6 years, but I used to play them. So yeah, that's interesting because in the sound of Nuclear Dudes, there's electronics that totally sound like it be in video games. So for people who play video games, you would listen to it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a video game soundtrack, if you will.
Yeah, there's some like retro feeling synthy stuff in there for sure. And yeah, there's probably some of my history as a person who loves video games. It makes me, I acclimate to those kind of tones a little bit more than others for sure.
So tell me a little bit about the inception of Nuclear Dudes. How did you came up with it?
Okay, so yeah, I've been playing in bands pretty much my whole life, and when the pandemic happened and we couldn't get together and there weren't any vaccines and nobody knew what was happening, my band started practicing, and that was or we stopped practicing, and that's kind of when I realized, it sort of dawned on me that I've been going to band practice every week since I was like 14 years old or something, and I turned 40 at the start of the pandemic, and so that's like most of my life has been some portion of it has been involved around writing music, playing music, getting together with people, working on shows, going to shows, working on albums. And to have that stop was pretty jarring and pretty rough for me. And my anxiety and my stress spiked. I couldn't figure it out why for a bit. And then my band Sandrider, we were in the middle of writing an album, and we kind of just figured we'd keep writing remotely and like use phones and computers to sort of start doing like recording and sending riffs to each other. And basically, once I figured out how to I'd never tried using GarageBand. Once I figured out how to use GarageBand to just send some song ideas to the guys in Sandrider, that's when it sort of clicked, and I said like, oh, I could just write songs at home on my stupid laptop. And then it was like total rabbit hole. Once I cracked it open, I just started writing and writing and writing. The project was initially, I was going to try and write one song a week.
You wrote 3 albums.
Yeah, I just kind of kept going and going and going, like since then I've gotten a little bit better at the recording. You hear a huge jump in quality between Boss Blades and the ones that came before it. I got some better equipment. I got better at just like understanding the programs and how to use everything. It just sort of like, it came out of anxiety and not being able to play music with people, and now I have like a healthy solo project that will just keep me happy forever.
So yeah, you started a band. I decided to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
To fight boredom too, and do something with the time.
So, totally. Yeah.
So the album's pretty cool, and so you mentioned that you like just started like doing a song a week. So you do everything. You do like the guitar, like you play all the instruments that are on the album.
Mm-hmm.
except the few tracks on the new album that you have a few guest vocalists on, I think, on 3 tracks.
Yep.
Two that are
Yep.
the lead singer from Botch, and I can't remember the other one, but you have a few extra lead singers. So yeah, the new album, Boss Blades. So yeah, it's pretty interesting because it goes from death metal to electronics, a little bit of thrash metal. Like, so when you were doing like this solo project, you're like, I can do whatever I want. You know, you don't have to follow a formula. How was that process?
It's interesting. It's really like it's creatively freeing, and I rarely set out knowing exactly what the beginning and the middle and the end of a song is going to be. We usually have some sort of kernel of an idea, but it's pretty impulsive. So if I'm working on something and then suddenly it feels like it needs to go in a direction that I wasn't planning on, I just kind of trust my impulse and just will follow it. And I think the songs get kind of weird and interesting, but I mean that's just part of the fun of the project. Like on I can't remember which song. I think it was Sublime Positivity of the Seasoned Influencer or something. I can't remember what the song title was. It's on the first album.
Oh, because you have some weird album names, song titles like Obsolete Food, Poorly Made Pots, Lasers in the Jungle, and my personal favorite, Eat Meth.
Yeah. yeah. Those, I mean, a lot of those are inside jokes. But yeah, so there's like a part on one of the songs on Gin and Panic where I tuned my guitar down to drop C, and I was told myself I'm going to go in there and I'm going to write something really heavy. And what I ended up writing was like the guitar bridge in the middle of that song, and it sounds like Steely Dan. And it's just I was going into like to just do some heavy kind of like sludgy down-tuned stuff, and then what I ended up with was this like weird long guitar mini solo across 2 tracks, and it was just, I don't know, I thought it was fun. I was like, that was funny to me that it just went the completely opposite direction, but it's cool. It came out great.
Yeah, nothing says heavy like Steely Dan,
right?
but yeah, and I gotta tell you, the album artwork, when I saw it, I'm like, it's hilarious because this looks like a drawing that my 4-year-old could do.
Yeah.
Like did you do it? Did you do this on like on a computer program, like the Paint program?
No, I mean, you're exactly right. My son drew that. I think he's 5 or 6 at the time. And it was in the first October of the pandemic, and it was Halloween, and he just got into monsters, and he started drawing all these monsters, and they're just so fucking cool. And he would just fill up these blank pages of paper with just these tiny little stick drawing monsters, and they're all so weird and crazy, and the proportions are all fucked. And like, look at the feet and fingers on that thing. Like, it's just like adults can't do that. And I don't know. I just loved it. I saved them all. I've got like 11 album covers ready to go.
No, they look cool, and I'm like, yeah, this is something like my kid could draw. Except did you write the Nuclear Dudes, or was it your son as well?
Yeah, no, I wrote that. I just scribbled it with a Sharpie.
No, you know, it's do it yourself. Like, don't overthink it, and when you see that album cover, you're like, this is gonna be fun. Like, nothing that you take that seriously. And when I was like looking at the song titles, and like, for example, that it heals. I'm like, what was the story there?
Yeah, it's like bread heels, like, you know, the heels on the bread loaf. And so that whole song is about like, this is something I never realized until I became a father, but like one of your roles as a dad is to just like not let food go to waste. So like you just become this human trash processor, where like if there's like a leftover carrot on my son's plate, my brain says somebody's got to eat that. You can't throw that away. And so I have this thing. It's kind of like a mantra I say to myself whenever I'm looking at a bread loaf in the fridge and it's just the 2 heels, and like no one's eating it, and I'm like, well, fuck, I guess I'm gonna eat those. Like dads eat heels. That's what you do, right?
That makes total sense. Yeah, and me being a father, I can relate to like you can't, food is fucking expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can't let it go to waste. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And you also wrote there's like year free. So obviously you're talking about the pandemic, it's the year
Yep.
free, and you had free albums like so right now, like this became a passion project, but are you planning on doing more Nuclear Dudes material?
Oh yeah, yeah. The best thing, the absolute best thing about the project is that I can just do it all on my terms. And as you are a dad as well, you know that like when you have a kid, a whole bunch of your free time and time for yourself just goes away. And it can be really hard to prioritize, hobbies, creative interests, band practice, hanging out with your friends. And so I think that's my
Having to
favorite.
watch the same cartoon over and over
Oh
again.
my God. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You don't even get to control the TV anymore. So I mean, it's my favorite part of the project is that I can fit it into my life wherever it works. And so because of that, yeah, I just have this really, really fulfilling creative outlet that I can do. I can do it in the morning. I can stay up late at night and work on it. Just with my headphones, it's not going to bother anybody. Like the only time I actually have to sort of like carve out time for it is when I need to record vocals, and I'll just go to my band's practice space on a night that nobody's there, and I can scream in a room by myself. Like I can't record vocals at home in a closet. That would just terrify my family. So
Yeah, and the good thing is since your son drew the the artwork, you don't have to pay him in royalties.
right.
Maybe when he
Well,
grows up,
he gives me
he'll be like,
feedback too. He listens to the songs in progress, and he'll be like, "No, this one's dumb. Don't do this one."
he'll be like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's interesting. And you know that when I first saw your picture and I'm looking at you, I'm like, oh, you look so much like Zach Braff from Scrubs.
I usually get Andy Samberg. That's the one people usually tell me I look like.
No,
Yeah.
I think Zach Braff is cooler. So yeah,
Okay. All right.
but the
Sure. I'll
cooler
take it.
version, the one that makes music.
Okay.
So yeah, the album, I think it's very hard to describe the album. Like for lyrics, you decided to go like something. It's not like a super. It's an easygoing album. Did you want it to be like that? Not be like, because there's so many people that wrote like albums in the pandemic, and they're also deep, and they like the existential of life. And this album is just like fuck it, let's have fun.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like there's too
Yeah.
many of those existential albums, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we got it already. So I was glad to hear some music that was created because of that. And it's not about that. It's just about like letting loose and not being in a genre in particular. Uh,
Mhm.
so so video game designer, I read you designed some games. You worked on one of in Halo, right?
I did, yeah. So I worked at Bungie for 12 years. So I worked on a couple Halo games and Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
I just played Destiny 1. I couldn't get it, so I stopped playing it.
Yeah.
Bungie did no, I don't think Gears of War wasn't on that one. I'm trying to remember.
No.
No,
No.
but yeah, the Halo stuff was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that like the so you use a lot of like video game like music like to go from transition to song to song. Was that a conscious choice that you had when working on the album?
No, not really. I think I just like to have I like albums that have a lot of like connective sort of audio between tracks. Either that or there's like no long breaks between tracks. Like we don't do in my band with other humans, Sandrider, we don't do samples or like audio between tracks, but we like to have just a really short pause, like barely a second between songs, like bam, 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 song right after each other, like that. So yeah, I like to do yeah, like connective stuff, like grab movie samples, just make noise with a keyboard and sort of have that transition between tracks.
Yeah, no, because it seemed like every song like went into the other. Like sometimes you felt like you're listening to a track that keeps going. So yeah, it made sense. So so talking about video games, like which one is do you have like a favorite video game of all time?
No. I love action games and I love competitive multiplayer games. So working on like Halo and Destiny was totally my kind of thing. Um, I don't know if I have a favorite of all time. I just played the Resident Evil 4 remaster remake. That was fantastic. That's one of my all-time favorite games. Um, Playing a great game right now called Dave the Diver, which is not an action game and it's not a multiplayer game, where you just are a little diver and you go diving for fish for a sushi restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah. Playing a lot of Slay the Spire. That's a game that I just play a lot on the side. I constantly have a game of Slay the Spire going on my phone. And then in terms of like competitive multiplayer shooters, there's not a lot on the market that's really like scratching my itch right now. Occasionally jump into like Halo Infinite, play for a bit. I'll do a little bit of Battlefield, play for a bit. But yeah, nothing has really like got my interest at the moment.
So you're more team Xbox.
Uh, I don't care. Like I have an Xbox and a PlayStation. I feel like
I have both
if I'm
of them.
working yeah, like if I'm working in the industry, like is part of my job is to be aware of what both consoles are doing, and so yeah, I'll play games on all of them.
Yeah, no, I haven't played video games in a while. I think my favorite one, it was The Last of Us. When I
Oh,
played that one.
so good, so good.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, so yeah, but I have no time right now to play video
Hmm.
games, and it's too expensive, and I just don't have the time. But
Yeah,
right now, there's even there. I saw in Walgreens, they have like this miniature like look-alike Game Boys, and they have like 300 games for $25.
yep,
I'm like, that's so cool, like that they have that. And I bought some for my son and my daughter for their birthdays, but I'm hoping that I get to play them too.
yeah. Just wait till
Yeah,
they go to bed.
yeah, that's when you buy something thinking like, yeah, I'll buy this for them, but it's really for me too. So
Yeah.
that's a good investment. So in the Boss Blades, like, do you have like which song is right now your favorite, and which one for you was the hardest to write and why?
Oh man, good question. I think I think my favorite ended up being the first song, Boss Blades. Um, that one just came together really well. That one
Was
was
that
just like
Boss
surprise.
Blades, right?
Yeah, the very first song, Boss Blades. I
Mhm.
just feel like that one came together really well. It's got a little bit of sort of all the styles of the project in it. So it's got like it opens with like blast beats. It's got crazy drum fills. It's got like that big kind of like empty synth wash in the middle with the super crazy effects on the vocals. It's got like the heavy breakdown. I don't know. It just
And
came together really
it's like
well.
a 2 minute song,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it has a lot. Yeah.
And then yeah, asking Dave to sing on a couple songs. Yeah, when I heard I was in the studio with him when he tracked those vocals, and when I heard him track the vocals, I was just like, holy shit, he's so good. He's so good. So yeah, I think that one came out great. But I mean, I really like Many Knives too, the one that Irene sang on. She sings in a band called Dust Moth, which is fantastic. Um, she's one of the most like beautiful and haunting and powerful singers I've ever seen. Um, I feel lucky to know her, and I'm so glad that she, put some time on the song. And I mean, when I listen to Many Knives, her voice gives me chills every single time, and I've heard that song hundreds of times. And it just came out great. Um, and the hardest one to write, the hardest one, fuck, I don't know. It might have been uh I'm going through them all in my head right now. I think it was probably the second track, Manifest Piss Tape, was pretty hard to put together. I was pushing myself to try and play guitar like Buzz Osborne from the Melvins. I really wanted that song to sound like the Melvins. That was the whole thing I was trying to do. And he just plays guitar differently than me. So
so it wasn't easy to do it if you're not accustomed to playing that way.
Yeah. Like it was tough. I did a lot of takes of that song. It was difficult.
Yeah. So this band being like a solo project, would you like sometime take this on the road or do some like special shows for this music?
I'm trying to figure that out right now. A lot of people have been asking about that, which feels very nice and flattering. And there's just a lot of logistics that I need to solve to be able to perform it. And also I'm not like fronting a grindcore band is hard work. And I'm in my 40s now. That's a young man's game, you know? So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out right now. And I'm optimistic that I'll be able to do something with some friends, maybe.
Yeah, and I'll put the link because you're putting this out. You're going very old school. You're doing it on cassette, and people can buy it digitally. So I have the link that I'll post it so people that are interested in buying it. And I know cassettes right now are like also making a comeback.
Yeah,
which is interesting for me because I used to hate cassettes.
Yeah,
because
yeah, I'm working with a guy out here in Seattle. His name's Clint. He runs Modern Grievance Records. And that's kind of his thing. He does boutique, small run cassettes for bands. And I just think that's fucking awesome. And he's great. His whole label's great. All the bands that are on it are awesome. It's a big honor to be included in that and in their company. But I don't even own a cassette player like this. And I've played in other bands that have released cassettes as well. And I've never listened to any of those cassette releases.
The cars right now do not have cassettes player. They don't even have CD players. So, so yeah, it would be like you could buy it and just keep it as a souvenir, or because I haven't seen a cassette player in a long time. Right? I bought a vinyl, but yeah, who would have figured that you would buy like a record player to play vinyls at this age? But yeah, it's cool. So I'll put the link so people that would want to buy it or buy it digitally can do it as well. So they can do it. So yeah, anything that you'd like to say to the people that watch this and what to expect from Nuclear Dudes in the near future?
Thanks for tuning in. If you stuck around this far, appreciate it. I'll be working on more projects, more Nuclear Dudes projects in the future for sure. I'm trying to do more collaborations with other artists, and I'm trying to figure out how to play live. So yeah, I can just make records in my bedroom. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more coming. Like I'm just going to keep shitting out music turds.
So that's cool. Yeah, and plus you can do it like at your own time, and you can do whatever you want with this band. So Jon, I want to thank you, for taking some time of your day to talk with me about Nuclear Dudes and music in general. So people, I'll put the link. So if you're interested buying it digitally or buying the cassette or knowing more about the band, just I'll leave the link so you can get more information. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shieldora Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.